Okay, Stevie Nicol, let's talk some manager merry-go-round movements potentially, because we've got some big names out of work and we've got some big posts that need filled. Now, we're going to focus specifically on three: Brazil, Real Madrid, and Spurs. But I suppose we can kind of link Brazil and Real Madrid. I'll explain why. Carlo Ancelotti is the favorite to take over the Brazil national team job. First of all, do you think he'll still be at Real Madrid next season? And if not, is Brazil potentially his new destination?
Wow, that's a tough question. Listen, if
Mm.
if if Real Madrid won the Champions League, then I don't see why he wouldn't be there to carry on the following year. At the same time, if they don't win the Champions League, then it seems likely that the Real Madrid would move him on. And if that was the case, then I really don't see a better fit
Hmm.
from a manager and a team's point of view than Angelotti with Brazil. I mean, it seems like a match made in heaven. You know, the guy who undoubtedly in world football would be the man to take over a team with established players, established stars, mature players. I mean, you talk about the guy who can just walk in the door and keep things ticking over the way they were seamlessly. That's the kind of reputation that Ancelotti has because that's what he does. So, from my point of view, it just seems the perfect fit. Ancelotti with Brazil. You know, he would go in there. All he would have to do is look after all the big stars, all the big egos. It wouldn't be about tactics or or getting the team going, any of that stuff. It would be completely and utterly, in my opinion, about man management. And I don't think there's a better man manager in football. So from that standpoint, this for Angelotti would be brilliant. I'm sure I'm sure if he thinks about it, it's mouth watering for him. At the same time, I'm pretty sure he wants to win the Champions League again. So from his point of view, I'm sure he might be a little conflicted.
There's also the option of if he does win the Champions League with Real Madrid and they are in that kind of tough half of the draw, that it could be a hey, that's my swan song. I've done it again. I've won another Champions League. It's time to move on. The other thing is about the Brazil job. You'll know, Stevie, you played international football. There are not many international jobs that could attract pretty much any manager in the world. Brazil is certainly one of those.
Well, the thing is, Ancelotti did say that, as long as he was wanted at Real Madrid, he would be there.
Mhm.
So he's not a guy that goes back on his word. So I would think it's probably not in Ancelotti's hands. Yes, he could go to the president and ask to go, but I think at the end of the day, if you're Real Madrid, you're not letting him go anywhere. And so for them, or for Ancelotti, for me, it really would be up to Real Madrid. Ancelotti's not a guy that goes back on his word. And having said that, I'm sure he will remember that. So yeah, I don't think it's in his hands. I think it's in Real Madrid's hands.
'Cause the weird thing about this, Stevie, is if Real Madrid don't win the title, which ain't going to happen with the double digits that they now trail Barcelona, and if they don't win the Champions League, yeah, you could get rid of them. But who's better out there for Real Madrid than Carlo Ancelotti? So I think there's a lot of kind of movement in this to go over the
Mm.
next few months. Now, obviously, we spoke about Real Madrid as well as Brazil. If Carlo Ancelotti does go to Brazil, where does that leave Real Madrid? With some of the names that are out there, Thomas Tuchel's no longer on the market, but Pochettino is, Nagelsmann is. Does it require more of a Pochettino type who's experienced and a little bit older than a Nagelsmann who's younger but highly talented? Or do you think they would go for the younger one with the talent over someone like Pochettino? What do you think they would do if Carlo Ancelotti left?
Well, I think there are obvious questions over the. It seems like Pochettino and Nagelsmann are the favourites,
Hmm.
according to the bookies, according to everybody, pretty much. But that's that to me. That's a risk for Real Madrid. Two good managers, yes, but two managers who haven't produced on the big stage. Really, you can't say that Nagelsmann winning the league with Bayern Munich is down to him. You know, Bayern Munich, they just win the league every year. I mean, you and I could coach that team to win
You
the
could,
Bundesliga.
yeah, you might be able to.
With all due respect, uh, and Pochettino, I mean, hasn't won anything of note, really, has he?
No,
So
no, he's still not won that Champions League.
no, so there are question marks over the two of them. However, in my opinion, there are no question marks over a guy called Luis Enrique. Now, for me, you talk about a guy who's been there, seen it, done it, got the t-shirt. That to me is a Real Madrid manager,
Hmm.
not a gamble. I don't see Real Madrid as a team that wants to gamble. They want to be assured that they're a team that has to win trophies every year. It's not enough to be in and around the titles. They have to be winners. And so Luis Enrique has won pretty much everything that's going. Now, again, it was with Barcelona, and
Yeah.
the only thing I would say is, what would the feeling be? Because of course, Luis Enrique played for Real Madrid and Barcelona, but he left Real Madrid to go to Barcelona. Is there still a bitter taste in the fans' mouth and the board's mouth? So to me, that would be the only drawback for Luis Enrique, because when it comes to CVs between the three of them, it's an absolute no-brainer. Luis Enrique's your man.
And that leaves us with Tottenham Hotspur. Now, are they going to appoint someone before the end of the season? Should they? Will they wait for the summer? But if they're going up against whether it's Real Madrid or whoever that are looking for a manager, why would you go to Spurs if they're not in the Champions League when you have other options available? So, first of all, should Spurs be trying to get an appointment, given who's out there right now, before the end of the season, before other teams might be looking?
Well, I think considering who's available and the other job that might be available other than the Spurs one, I think you have to make a decision whether you want somebody or not, first of all. And if you do, here's what I would do. I wouldn't go and get a Nagelsmann, say, and have him sitting in the bench next week coaching the team. I wouldn't do
Okay,
that. I
why
would
not?
try I would try and secure him and let him take his time, let him decompose after losing his job at Bayern Munich. Let him quietly and assuredly go through Tottenham's squad, look at videos of the team. You know, he's not going to come in now and try and change the way they play, change systems. I mean, we what 10 minutes? Is it 10 games to go, something like that? That's not. I don't think that would be a good idea. Let Ryan Mason or whoever it is coach the team to the end of the season, and if you can secure your next manager, then you can have him on the outside looking in, going through everything that happens at the club, so that when he comes in pre-season, he's ready to hit the ground running, knows exactly what he wants, knows exactly what he's got. You know, they can talk to him about transfers. You know, so for me, if it's a Nagelsmann, if it's a Pochettino, or regardless of who it is, secure him now because maybe somebody else wants him, and then give him some time to get himself together and figure out the club, whilst the coaches that are there are trying to get in that top four. And I don't really think right now that it matters too much who coaches Spurs. Spurs are a side who, from one game to the next, you're not sure what you're going to get. And I don't see that changing with the change of manager. The team is what it is. It needs changing. The personnel needs changing. They need a new style. They need so many things. So right now, leave it in the hands of the coaches that are there. Try and get that top four spot, and then, as I said, if you've got a coach ready to get going pre-season, then on you go.
I can understand that if it's done on the QT and if it's done on the quiet, it doesn't get out. But things get out in football. What happens if Ryan Mason loses lots of games? Nagelsmann's just sitting there having a look behind the scenes. I understand that. It's difficult. Is there one person out there that would be an ideal fit for Spurs right now?
Well, I think it would be Nagelsmann. Nagelsmann's got a reputation with building. You know, he did it at Hoffenheim, at Leipzig. So Bayern was a different kettle of fish. But I think this guy, being 35, I think he would love the to get his teeth into building a team like Spurs. I mean, let's be honest. Is he really ready to go from Bayern Munich having failed because he failed to a Real Madrid or any other huge job that would become available between now and the end of the season? Is he really ready for that? I don't think so. I see him more of a guy that you could put in and say, right, here's a plan. Let's build. Let's take our time. Let's do it properly. Build from the bottom up. Nagelsmann is your guy. I think Nagelsmann would be perfect for that. Perfect to do a similar job that Pochettino did when he went into Spurs. That's what he did. He built them, and they grew steadily. They got to a Champions League final. Unfortunately, after that, it kind of fell apart a little bit. But why not do the same with Nagelsmann? That would be what I would do if it was my choice.
Okay, why can't Pochettino do again at Spurs what he's already done?
The old going back. It's never the same. How do you put your finger on that? To say that to somebody and say, well, it never works when you go back, and they say why. It's very difficult to put your finger on the reasons. But for everybody who's gone back, whether it's a coach or a player, it never works. It just doesn't work. And I am quite honestly, I'm not so sure that you can have the same relationship with your chairman, having been sacked by them, having been given the worst news for any coach. No, thank you. We don't want you anymore. I don't see that. You don't just go back and say, oh, let's start again and everything's rosy. It doesn't work that way. So I wouldn't. I don't see Pochettino at Spurs again. I absolutely don't see it, and I don't think it would work.
Well, thank you very much for watching ESPN on YouTube. For more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for live streaming, premium content, and let's not forget as well,